This episode is brought to you by Elite SRS, an incredible company based out of the Northwest that we are proud to announce our partnership with on the AIM podcast. If you guys have not checked them out already, you need to do so right now. Not only do they make incredible premium, high quality, and affordable jump ropes, but they stand for something as a brand that's so much bigger. Their mantra is do hard things, and so is a perfect fit for the Ambition in Mind podcast to partner with Elite SRS. And I personally love their jump rope. During a marathon prep, I've actually had jump rope be incorporated in my training, and I use their jump rope every single week. So get out there, check them out, and make sure you do hard things with ambition in mind. Zion, thank you so much for jumping on the AIM podcast.
Thanks for having me, man. I'm always excited to, share my story and share some knowledge.
You've got an incredible story to say the least. So we're pumped to have you on, and I think this is going to be a really fun episode, man.
Absolutely. I'm excited.
How's everything been going, man? I know I was just with you a couple weeks ago in Ohio for the Arnold Classic. That was a fun event, but how's life been since then?
Oh man, it's definitely been a little hectic. From the Arnold, I went to South Korea for about 10 days, and then I just got back, and then I went to New York City, and I just got back, and I've been back for just like about seven days or so. So, and then even in that, I've been going back and forth to LA, just working and like meetings and just a whole bunch of stuff I need to get done. So it's been very interesting. And I started my track workouts, so I've been hitting the track really hard. That's been going pretty well, actually. I'm about to hit it again today.
Let's go.
Yeah, man, I'm excited. I have my sixth professional season coming up. So with that being said, I'm really getting dialed in.
Yeah, I mean, I want to talk a lot about your story, but before I do, you kind of touched on it. Like, I'm so curious how do you balance the difference between training for you're a professional athlete and you do different fitness things and races and competitions, but also public speak, act, do different things with brands. How do you find that balance between training and business and the different things you're working on?
I always make it very known that my athletics are what I'm really focused on right now. So I always have time to train, and then I just work around that time frame. So it kind of makes it so everybody gets what they want. I still get what I need, and it's a win-win situation. And plus, like, I want to be able to do both. So if you want to do both, you have to figure a way to make it happen, you know?
I love that. No, yeah, I think prioritizing what's most important makes other things fall into place kind of nicely. But so what are you currently training for? I know you said you kind of touched on it, but what all is kind of on the radar right now?
Right now, the main focus is track and field because I have the start of the season coming up. I'm going into my sixth professional season as a 100-meter sprinter. I had a fourth place finish at the Olympic trials this past year. So I'm going to come back stronger. I had some injuries over the last year, and I had to kind of get myself really back, like, tuned in just to make it there. And it was a crazy journey, to say the least, for the last 2 years. I would say, with COVID, being a track athlete, but
For sure.
man, I'm excited for this year. Things are starting to open back up. That means more meets are going to be happening finally. So I'll have a full schedule, and I'm excited about that.
Yeah, dude, that's exciting. I can't wait to see you compete this year. So what does your actual training look like? I know you mentioned going to the track today. Like, how many days a week are you hitting the track? I know you do some strength work as well. Like, how do you find that balance, and what does your training look like?
I hit the track 6 days a week. Since I'm a sprinter, I work more on like my fast twitch motion and my follow through. So when I'm when I'm on the track, I will do more kind of long distance. So say I was warmed up with a mile, 2 miles, and then once my body is like warm, my heart's pumping, I go and start doing 800s just to try to get that like full on sprint. And then I'll end it with a few hundreds. And then I'll do a ton of starts and a ton of rolling starts, which works on that fast twitch motion. You get your turnover speed to make your turnover speed faster.
Yeah, that's awesome. No, that makes sense. And then in terms of the weight room, I know you're doing strength training as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what does that look like? And what's the frequency or volume there?
So my weight training is different from when I'm wrestling and fighting compared to when I'm racing track and field. I'm actually using a whole different muscle group. So with track and field, it's more of a push. So I'm trying to, because when I'm in the chair, I'm pushing down.
Right.
So I do a whole bunch of different just combination benching, and just try to, it's more of a stamina slash power type workout.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I saw you benching the other day. You were crushing 225. What's your bench max?
Oh, it's like 325. I can go 100 more.
325?
Yeah.
Dude, that's insane. What?
Yeah, no, I
Wow.
hit that a couple of years ago, man. It was crazy. My buddy Mata taught me this trick on
Can you
how to
teach me
like
the trick?
shock. Yeah, oh dude, it's so crazy. He taught me this trick where like say that I wanted to bench 325, he's gonna put 400 on there and you're gonna have to just hold it. And
What?
it like shocks your muscles and your nervous system. So when you go to bench the 325, obviously it's lighter, but your body is like, oh wait, I can lift this, so you're able to up your weight. Excuse me.
Dude, I've never heard that before. That's crazy.
Yeah, no, me neither. My guy Mata is a genius in the weight room. That's why I love working with him. He's always showing me new things and new ideas.
Dude, that's cool. So do you do that before you max or just like on a regular like training day?
Sometimes I'll do it on a training day if I'm trying to up my weight in my bench for reps. So it just depends on where I'm at, you know?
Yeah. Dude, well, that's super cool. I appreciate the tip. I'm definitely gonna apply that to my training and I'll let you know how it goes. Hopefully I can hit the 300s like you. That'd be sweet.
Oh, absolutely, dude. I'm telling you, it works. It's awesome.
No, I believe you. I believe you, man. Well, that's awesome. Well, let's dive into your story, man. I want to kind of start from the beginning. I think it's cool to kind of set the context, really from the start, and then I kind of want to pick apart some different things that you've done and along the way that's been really cool, and how you've been able to even ultimately use your platform and what you're doing to help people. So, I had the privilege of watching your Netflix documentary, which if people haven't seen that yet, they need to go check it out ASAP. That is incredible. But I want to turn it over to you, man, of you just kind of like sharing the story a little bit and then we can kind of go through it.
Yeah. What do you want me to share exactly?
I mean, I think for just starting from the beginning, I mean, just kind of like that initial, kind of embrace with your current situation and how it kind of impacted maybe the childhood moving into, growing up.
Okay, yeah. I'm not too big on touching about that all the time. Uh,
Yeah.
if you get that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Just because like for me, I'm like really actively into a lot of things and doing a lot of good, helping a lot of people, and
For
that'd
sure.
be more of the speed. Like I definitely want to touch on that, but I'm mainly want to kind of take it towards like what I'm actually doing to help these kids after what I experienced.
Yeah. Oh, that's exactly what I want to touch on. So, your experience, growing up and, with the situation, the circumstances you were in, like, how did you use that to kind of to push past, the different challenges or adversity maybe you dealt with and get to where you are today?
Man, I definitely had those few people growing up that always did have my back, whether they were my friends or somebody trying to help from a distance, But ultimately, with their help, I had to pick myself up and, start carrying myself with a different type of weight, And man, I'm telling you, going through the foster care system for 17 years is no joke, just to say the least. And but with the experiences I've had through those 17 years, with all the abuse, all the bullying, all the just absolute just losses I took and on the mat and just in my home life, And with that being said, it definitely shaped me to be different, to say the least. I'm not the type of person to, be all I wasn't the type of person to be all buddy buddy at first. You know, I wasn't that nice kid because I learned early on the world was a cool place. But as I got older, and then when I finally got adopted at 17, man, it was crazy. It was like I had peace of mind. And with that being said, that's where that group of people come into play. Because once I had a peace of mind, it was like easier to seek out help and easier to find mentors in what I wanted to do, you know?
For sure.
So I was able to focus. And next thing you know, I come away one of the top wrestlers in Ohio. I come away multiple times state champion in track and field because I was able to focus. Before that, when I was going through all the turmoil growing up, I was probably the worst athlete that you've ever seen. And I just made a complete turnaround. And I gave it all to the support I had coming up and the support I had in those last couple of years to really point me in the right direction. You know, I'm absolutely grateful. So, and now with what I've been doing, I've been working to help a lot of these kids in the foster care system countrywide. After that, I want to go worldwide, but I'm trying to set it up so like these kids are set up for life and set up for success when or if they age out of the foster care system at 18. So I've been working really hard with a lot of big companies. I'm actually getting ready to go to Washington and speak at this big foster care conference coming up. So I'm very excited about that
That's awesome.
because that's that first big step onto making some real change and doing something positive for these kids.
Dude, I love that. That's amazing. You touched on something that I think is really cool. You said talking about sometimes you kind of have to accept being different. And I want you to talk about that because I think a lot of times people try to fit in, people try to do certain things to look like someone else, especially with social media and different things. Like you want to present yourself in a way that's accepted and the way society maybe views people.
Mm-hmm.
But talk about the power of embracing who you are, what you've been given in your situation, and how you don't have to fit in with everyone else. You can be different and still make an impact, still be yourself, and still, help others be better.
Oh, absolutely. Being different is a key element if you want to, at least to me, if you want to be successful, because being different means being you to me, you know,
For
because
sure.
you're not like me. I'm not like you. That automatically makes you different.
Yep.
And nobody's like the person next to them or the person next to them. So, with that being said, on a planet of 7 billion people, it's okay and it's absolutely awesome to be different. Because if you look throughout history, man, some of the most influential people throughout history, they weren't just following the norm. They rose up and did something different. They moved differently.
For
They
sure.
acted different because to others, it might be different, but to them, that was their true self, and that's why they were successful with whatever they did.
100%.
So being different is one of the greatest things that you could be living in today's society.
That's good. I agree, bro. I really do. And I think having people like you embracing that and talking about that and telling people that I think is really important because, for someone like you that, you have a powerful platform where a lot of people look up to you for leadership, inspiration, like you being able to share that, I think is really powerful because people can see that and see your heart and your genuineness and they can resonate with that.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I'm all about it. I love being different, and I'm all about inclusivity. So.
That's good, man. So talking, kind of touching back a little bit more, kind of you growing up, okay, you started to get into sports. That's something that you're super passionate about.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just curious because like I dealt with some stuff growing up as well that kind of pushed me to sports. Would you say that your initial kind of interest in sports or going down that road was like almost like an outlet to not get away, but to kind of help deal with some things you were going through, or was it purely a passion, or maybe both? It could be both. But what was kind of your
It
initial
was
surge?
it was definitely both.
Yeah.
Because when I first started wrestling when I was really little, man, that was the first time I made friends. That was like, and it was easier to make friends
Yeah.
on the wrestling mat. So one, I was just happy that I had friends. Two, I love the sport. I love just trying to like, when you're a kid, you're looking at someone wrestling, you're like, okay, how am I going to pick this guy up and like just take him down? It's not as technical as it is now. But
Yeah.
man, I was just able to, just cut loose. Everything that was going on, I was able to just kind of take a deep breath and focus on something productive.
I love that. Yeah, I think that makes a ton of sense. And it's cool to see how like, you know, you're able to meet friends wrestling and kind of get going in that way. And then, it turns out you're a very good athlete and you started progressing the sport. And I'm sure there's still a lot of other benefits, but that opens up doors and opportunities for you down the road. And it's
Hmm.
it's just cool. I'm just a big believer in the power of sports and what it can do for your life and the doors it can open, but also the things it can teach you that you can apply to other areas of your life once you leave the sport.
Absolutely. Wrestling, man, is one of those sports that takes a lot of work, a lot of commitment, and you're gonna suffer at some point, and you're gonna have to overcome adversity. It's just a given. But that sport, it doesn't just teach you how to be a martial artist. It doesn't just teach you how to be combative. It teaches you respect. It teaches you how to pace yourself and like analyze situations. Things that a lot of things you apply into wrestling match, you can apply directly into life, minus, dropping somebody on their neck. So, but, but no, wrestling is really like a good sport that's taught me a lot of life lessons and helped me develop as a person.
I love that. I love that, man. And I do want to touch more on like you've done such a good job at using your platform to help others. Where in the timeline, where in your life did you make that decision to shift from, and I know social media is a big part of, amazing things. So when it's a really cool way people share their story, but where was that
Hmm.
shift for you where you're like, I have a story, I have a powerful story, and I'm ready to share it with others and make an impact. Where did you kind of make that decision and what did that look like, that transition into that type of life?
Oh man, it was a couple years ago. I gave my first speech in a little school in Ohio, and just a whole bunch of these kids that were Syrian refugees at the time. So like they were sent overseas to escape the war, and man, it was just crazy. And I loved every second of it. I was able to partner with BSN Sports, I think that's what they're called in Ohio, and Kent State, and we just got like all these kids shared. There's only about like 50 kids in the school, so like it was real personal, because like these kids they weren't even from like our country, so
Yeah.
kind of it definitely hit me different because after that I kind of started doing it again, and plus after that one it kind of started spreading, like word started to spread like, oh, he speaks now, you know what I mean?
For sure.
And it just all happened like just so naturally, if that makes sense. It wasn't like, all right, I'm gonna go just forcibly try to like get gigs and set all this up. No, it was like these kids reached out. I literally just wanted to go say hi and say thank you for like writing me letters.
That's amazing.
And next thing you know, it's been 5 years, no, 4 years, and I've completely like been doing it on a different level since then.
Yeah, that's cool. When you were kind of approaching or preparing for your first speaking opportunity to these kids, is that something that you felt like came pretty natural to you, or is it something you just kind of embraced, knowing that it's a cool way for you to share your story?
Kind of both. Kids are very impressionable. So when you talk to them, you gotta make it so they understand. And on top of that, I love kids. You know, so when I was talking, I was really excited and happy. So I was what 20. I was 20, I think, and man, it was probably one of the coolest things I say up to date that I did. Like out of all my speeches, I say that's probably still sitting at number one on the list.
The first one.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's awesome, man. And I know that, so you touched on it, but that's been a big part of kind of what you do. You've got different brand opportunities. You work with some cool
Hmm.
companies. You got some different projects in the works, but the speaking platform has just been a big way for you to share your story and connect and make a big impact.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking isn't like the main thing of what like the main thing I do. I like to have my hand in like every cookie jar. I'm sorry about that.
Oh, you're good.
But like I want to have my hand in every cookie jar, because like why just do one thing when you can do five, when you can do 10 and still make a positive impact and still do some good.
I agree. I love that. Is there a Zion Clark book coming out?
Yeah, I mean, I already have my first one out, Zion Unmatched. It's been on Amazon, and it's been in Barnes and Nobles and been in Target, all like everywhere across the country, in the UK and Canada for about the last almost the last year.
Wow. Okay.
And I'm about to be releasing the second one coming up in the next year and a half.
I love it,
Doesn't
dude.
have a name yet, but the other one's coming.
Well, let us know when it comes out, and we'll definitely promote it. I'm excited. I need to read the first one. That's amazing. We dude, this has been a fun kind of series we've done on the podcast, partnering with Elite SRS, talking about doing hard things. And
Hmm.
we kind of sat through different guests we wanted to have on our podcast for this series. You were one that came to mind very, very quickly. I would love to kind of shift gears here and talk a little bit about some of the things we want to bring attention to with doing hard things. So the first question I have for you is what kind of comes to mind to you when you hear the word or phrase do hard things?
I hear the word do fun things.
Elaborate. I like that. What do you mean by that?
Because if something you're trying to complete is hard, it's a challenge. Why wouldn't you want to keep challenging yourself?
That's good. I agree. I mean, I think that's where a lot of people shy away, that they see the word hard as a negative thing, as a scary thing, but hard can be an inviting thing, something that can bring you value, strength, and honestly propel you further.
Absolutely. Sometimes the best lessons we learn are from the hardest experiences.
I love that. And that's honestly, you kind of set it up nicely for the next question. And that is like, something hard you've dealt with, and you can go as deep as you want here, but just how can you explain how something hard you go through can propel you and give you a better experience coming out of it, and shape who you are as a person?
Oh, absolutely. I'm actually going to go route of wrestling with this. So I didn't have success until I was 18 in the sport of wrestling.
For sure.
Before then, I was wrestling since I was 7 years old. So since I was 7 to 18, I lost every single match.
That's crazy.
Yeah, talk about hard. You know what I mean? And it didn't matter what I did, I still lost. No matter what I tweaked, I still lost. And in that very last moment, I figured it out. It took over 10 years, but I figured it out. And once I figured it out, I was just like, all right, it's definitely really fun now. So
What did you figure out?
I don't know, I just figured out how to move different, like in general.
It was a physical kind of thing. It wasn't a mental thing that was blocking
Oh,
you.
it was oh no, there's wrestling has is not is definitely not just physical, it's extremely mental. And like I felt clear, like I could read my opponent, I could be calm and not like act sporadically and like just set up my shots very calmly, get in on a smooth shot, get the takedown, and just ride them out. It was different. Once I figured it out and once it like clicked, man, I was rolling with some of the best guys around. And to this day, I'm still rolling with the best guys around. And I love it.
What was your mindset? I mean, you talk about enduring that long of a period of no wins and not a lot of success in the sport, and most people would probably quit or change their
Hmm.
plan. Like, what was your mindset through that time, and how did you get to that clicking point where things started to change?
Well, I had a lot of respect for my coaches and my friends. So like I kept coming back and they kept trying to help me. So that's how it was. It was a group of good people. So over that 10 years, I got to grow up with a lot of my homies that are still my homies today in the sport. And we all got to develop and become like not just wrestlers, but adults.
For sure. That's cool. I love that. I think community can help people through tough times for sure. I think no matter what you're going through, whether it be
Mhm.
sport, life, family, business, whatever, having a core group of community of people surrounding you that are supportive, I think can really pull you out of some dark times. Um,
No, absolutely. And that's sometimes it takes more than one.
True. Yeah. Ideally, it's more than one for sure. I mean, it's nice having a group for sure, but that's great, man. And during that time, like, could you, even though you were losing, did you kind of have like just in the back of your mind this little voice telling you to keep going, pushing because you knew you were gonna keep improving, keep pushing, and like you just weren't gonna stop.
I mean, I didn't know what was gonna happen if I was honest. I couldn't tell if I was getting better or worse. I just kept trying and trying to get stronger and faster and like more agile. Like, man, I did so much speed training. Like everybody's like, oh wow, he's bad. It's like, no, there was a lot of time putting into me having that movement that I have at the speed that I move on the mat. That didn't used to be there. Like,
Yeah.
and we're talking like 8 years ago, didn't used to be there. You know what I mean? So
Takes time.
yeah, it takes a lot of time. And over that period, it's more of like, I was able to focus. I just focused and just kept trying over and over again. Some people some people might like say that's being crazy because like why would you keep doing the same thing over and over again, year after year after year with the same result? To me, the answer is because I just I absolutely love the sport of wrestling. So I
All that matters.
just kept coming back again and again and again, and I was up in your face again and again and again and again, and I lost again and again and again. But after a while, you learn how to like after losing so many times, it's either you have to either learning or there's not much help because like the sport of wrestling, it's not like somebody can like stop the match and be like, no, this is what you're supposed to do. No, it's constant action, nonstop. So with that being said, you had to really like tune in and figure out what works for you. I remember I figured out this one move. It's called a tilt, and I hit this. I literally like you never like play a video game and you like hit the spam button on a move.
Yeah. Yeah.
I literally walked through a whole tournament once I figured out how to do this one move and won my first tournament, hitting the same move over and over and over on everybody.
That's amazing.
You know what I mean? Like, and then ever after that point, it was like, all right, I can actually win. So I kept that back and started developing other skills that work for me.
That's great, dude. And you know, honestly, I mean, you no matter what point in your life, anyone's life, really, like there were probably points in time where you could have easily made excuses and you could have said, you know, I'm not successful because of this reason or that reason. I know no excuses. That phrase is a big part of your brand. Talk about how
Mm-hmm.
you kind of embraced that through those challenging times as well.
I mean, I didn't I didn't embrace no excuses until I was 18, 19, if I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah.
Because like growing up, coming up, I had to really, find myself, I had to really discover like who I'm supposed to be and what my purpose is. And I remember this one match, it was one of my last matches of high school. I was going up against one of the best guys in the state of Ohio. And man, it was a vicious match between me and this dude. He took me down with like 5 seconds left to go to take it into overtime. Like we're about to go into overtime. I tore some muscles in my shoulder, and this was like it was all bad, And I was just kind of down, and my coach grabbed me and like literally smacked me in my face and was like, "Hey, you need to go get this done. You can beat this guy." And he said it to me. He's like, "Don't make any excuses. Go beat this guy." And I went out there and I beat this dude in overtime. It was one of my biggest wins I had. That's what like honestly got me into college. So it was really like it was that was like a big tournament to do something like that in, and I was able to like, get over that obstacle. And after that, I got the tattoo on my back very shortly after, and it's stuck ever since.
It's game on now. That's a cool story, dude. I respect that a lot. I think sometimes it takes those moments of like, you just gotta believe it. You just gotta do it. And then once you do it, it's like instant confidence. And you're like, I've done it before. Now I can go look back at that memory, that moment. And now anytime I attack something in the future, I've got
Mm-hmm.
that on my back now. I know I can do it. That's cool.
Exactly. Once you do something, like once you complete a tough task, that is no longer a tough task because now you know how to do it.
Facts. That's good. What kind of the last question I have for you on this particular topic, like what's kind of the advice you would give someone else if they're maybe in the midst of a tough season or a tough time or a tough just challenge that they're going through? Because sometimes it's hard to see the end, it's hard to have a positive mindset, but like what's some words of wisdom, something you could share with someone that might be in that moment?
Well, what I would say would be just keep pushing, don't quit now. This is where you're being tested. This is where it's not just your physical ability, but your mental ability
Mm,
is going to be tested. And the way to achieve success is when you get tested during these times, are you going to learn and are you going to improve, or are you going to fold and are you going to back down?
that's
The
good.
whole key to this journey is to fail. You have to fail if you're going to succeed. So go ahead, go fail, go lose, go like it's good to lose, it's good to fail. So go let that happen, but keep getting back up and keep learning.
Mm.
So when the same situations come around, you know how to act, you know how to move because you're ready.
Dude, that's good. I love the way you say that because I think that's the piece. I think people associate doing hard things with a potential failure. They're like, if I do something tough, if I do something challenging, if I go through a hard season of life, I
Mm-hmm.
might fail. It might break me. But the key, like failure is fine. Who cares? You can fail if you want. But the key, like you said, is to get up. Don't quit. When you quit, that's when the game's over. As long as you don't quit and keep pushing, you can fail as many times as you can fail unlimited times as long as you don't quit.
Absolutely.
Eventually, you're not gonna fail if you don't quit, and that's good, dude.
Absolutely. Shoot, I believe it wholeheartedly. Like even now, sometimes I try to complete tasks and I don't get them right off rip. It takes work, it takes time, it takes practice.
Just got to keep going. Got to keep moving in
Absolutely.
the right direction. I love that. This has been a extremely fun episode, man. I'm super grateful for you and your time and what you're doing. Honestly, just the energy you're putting out in the world. As we wrap this up, like, are there any exciting projects or things you're working on that you'd love to share or talk about? I know you've got I know you've got a ton of different things going on, but is there one or a couple of things you kind of want to talk about, touch on?
Oh man. Most of the big things I'm working on, I can't really talk about just yet. Like literally we would have done this next week. I'm
Yeah,
about to make some big announcements coming up.
I love it. We'll be in
Yeah.
tune for those. What about your Legends? You had a really cool opportunity to work with that company. I know the guys at Legends. They're awesome.
Oh yeah, I've been working with Scott and Charles and the whole team, and I just was introduced to Quavo pretty recently, so it's been like a whole awesome experience working with them. I'm getting ready to go to Huncho Day, so that's going to be a very exciting time out in Atlanta. So I'm excited for that coming up in like a week, 2 weeks,
When is that event?
like in 2 weeks.
Okay, is it at the end
Not
of the
even
month?
2 weeks. I think more like a week and a half.
Let's go. I think I'm going to that as well.
Oh, word. Oh, okay, bet.
I'll have to see you there. But no, you guys are doing some really cool stuff, man. I'm super excited for you and all the lives that you're touching, man. And I really do appreciate you coming on the AIM podcast.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for having me on.
Let's go.